This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN, coming to you from the CarShield Studios. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. A couple of great guests coming up. We're going to tell you about that in just a moment. But first, Jay got up off the floor, into his chair, into the studio, and has recovered from last weekend's Ryder Cup.
I know. Good morning.
Good morning. Have you recovered?
Oh, Danny, I don't know, man. I can't wait to talk about this with you. It's just so fun to do this show with you, and watching that. It's like we've seen this bad movie. We've seen this ending before, but the way they started, there's a lot to unpack here. I really look forward to being with you.
Our guests will include our number 2, Chris Naegel, who calls St. Louis home, competes on the Korn Ferry Tour. He'll be in studio with us. And also, really looking forward to this, Vance Crowe will be our guest. And just give our fans and our listeners a little bit of a teaser who Vance Crowe is.
Yeah, so first of all, Vance is a great guy. He's a St. Louis, and he grew up not too far from here in southern Illinois. But he's one of those interesting people that you meet in your life, Danny, that I don't know anyone like him. When we first met, he didn't know anything about golf, but he's done podcasts, and he's always been in the ag business, the agricultural business. He's a nationally renowned public speaker and things like that. He founded Legacy Interviews, which is super, super cool. You and I talked a lot about how cool his business is, but basically Vance he's kind of like an expert in communicating, and he's just a really fascinating guy. And so we're talking and kind of mixing, like the pro-ams and these opportunities to meet and blend people into the game of golf, and how do you make that
work for business?
How do you make it work for business, and how does that pan out? And golf, as you and I have seen, is such a uniter. It just brings people together from all walks of life. And Vance is the perfect guy to kind of help the communication flow.
So he'll be with us in hour number 1, Chris Naegel in hour number 2. Ryder Cup 16.5 to 11.5. The Euros win it, and they started 4-0, and that really set the tone, didn't it, in day 1?
It did, Danny. So we both off the air looked at each other and said, okay, someone, not us, would give us $1,000. Who we got to put it on? We going red, white, and blue, and we both said the same thing. Our hearts are all over the red, white, and blue. The back of our mind was like
the smart play, the money play was Europe.
Yep.
And they showed it.
Listen, here's first of all, you got to help me with this. Of all the things that you come out with, I could see you come out crazy overhyped, crazy nervous, and balls are flying everywhere because you're hitting it over the green. You're doing all this stuff because you are so jacked up. To come out flat?
Yeah,
Danny,
and they did.
And you know what? It makes me wonder. None of our guys played other than JT, who, let's be honest, he had a nice Ryder Cup. Was he outstanding? No. But was he better than most on our team? Probably. He and Max Homa were the only guys that played in the Fortinet Championship, the only guys that had played an event in the last 5 weeks prior to. And Europe did exactly the opposite, D. They played, it wasn't exactly the week before, but it was almost the week before on the DP World Tour.
And then you lead me into one of the questions I was going to ask you is that was the key outside of being a very talented team that was put together, and you could make a case that they had the 6 top players in the world, maybe even 6 to 8. You could make that case.
Right.
But was the key to the Euros winning on home soil now for 30-plus years. The fact that they mapped out that course, there's a tremendous amount put into being the home team, if you will, and pin placement and that kind of thing. But they were there for a long time and understood, and it looked like they were just so familiar with the course.
Oh, Danny, 100%. We talked about this before. They play an event on on their tour at Marco Simone. These guys have played that course 50, 60, 70 times. They've competed in it. Our guys, 3 or 4. That's a huge difference. The other thing is, and how cool is it that we got to have Luke Donald on the show and talk about all
just
this
a few
stuff.
weeks ago.
I know, and he told us, yeah, we're into the analytics. We're examining all the numbers. We are going to know exactly how to set this golf course up. And what was really interesting to me, how many drivable par 4s do they have? It was like 3. And Danny, you know why? Because the U.S. are great wedge players, and they didn't, and so they're better than Europe, and they're all the analytics support that. So they push the tees up to take that, 60, 70, 80-yard wedge out of the American repertoire, and they did it on 3 holes. And if you look at it, I mean, we saw Jordan Spieth hit it in the water on 16. We saw Ricky Fowler hit it in the water on. I mean, it was really interesting the way that they used the analytics, and I really believe that the Euros do a better job than we do at setting the golf courses up. Now, when we go to Bethpage, Danny, that is going to be a bomber's paradise. And right now, that's
with a New York crowd. Can you imagine a New York crowd after the beatdown that the United States just took?
Oh, and every single person in that crowd is going to take that personally.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, they do anyway. And you add a little bit of sauce on top of that, it's going to be ruckus.
Rory McIlroy goes 4-1-0.
Yep.
Steps up big time in the absence of Sergio Garcia, Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter.
Great.
He is the face of the European team, and he stepped up and played in a big way.
Danny, he's not only that, he's coming into like the face of golf now that Tiger is injured and
live
and we love him for so much of that.
He's taken up at the face of golf because of live and what's happened so much, and he's been kind of at the forefront of this. Every press conference, every tournament asked about that. So I'm with you. I think he is the guy now when you talk about golf.
He's the guy, and you know what the problem with the U.S. team is? We don't have a dude. They've got you could take Rory is 1 and John Rahm is 1A, and let me tell you, Victor Hovland is 1A and a half. I mean, he is young but coming into his own and taking on a lot of these responsibilities. And Danny, we don't have a dude.
So let me ask you: would you have been happy with Patrick Reed, DJ, DeChambeau? Would you have rather seen that group there?
Absolutely, Danny. That's what we had to talk about, right? Well, here's what we knew going in, and we said this: if our guys don't perform, which they didn't, now comes this game, who we should have considered. I mean, no one would have had any trouble if Lucas Glover was on that team. No one would have had any trouble if Keegan Bradley was on that team. Now you take the 3 key live players, DJ, DeChambeau, Patrick Reed. First of all, what did we say? DJ went 5-0 at Whistling Straits the last time we had it. And has he played particularly well? No. Does it matter, Danny? Does it matter in that exhibition tour that he's playing on? Can you judge how well he's playing just because he had a top 10 in the U.S. Open and that was
8 or a 9 or whatever it was.
Right. So he was really in with a chance if he makes a par instead of a whatever that number he made.
Right.
So it makes you wonder. But
I also think you need a great villain on your side. You need somebody that is willing to take the abuse of the fan base and not only take it but then thrive on it. And I think Patrick Reed, I think DJ, I think Koepka to an extent.
Yep.
These guys had jumped to live and have been at times the face of the American team, and it was almost like this group didn't have that when you think about the U.S. team.
Well, Danny, look at the way
they embrace that kind of thing.
Right. And Patrick Reed, he loves the black hat.
Yeah.
Loves the black hat. DeChambeau doesn't care. I mean, you don't. Whatever you say about Bryson DeChambeau makes no difference to him because he is going about this thing half upside down and left-handed, right-handed. However he sees it, he doesn't care. That doesn't affect him. DJ is one of those guys where he's like, let's just go to the next hole. Let's go play. Let's do this. And this conversation is alive and well because we chose this U.S. team like it was a boys' trip. Listen, Jordan Spieth was a captain's pick. He's extremely capable. He had a horrible Ryder Cup. JT, Jordan's best buddy, he had a decent, better than average Ryder Cup. Colin Morikawa hasn't played well in a while, Danny.
Well, I agree. And we talked about that going into this. Would you take him? Yes, you're going to take him, but you're going to put him on certain pairings that would put him on the pedestal of what everybody's watching when you need to jump out. You need to get a point.
Yep.
He just wasn't the guy there.
Nope, he didn't. He didn't deliver. I mean, Ricky Fowler, and we love Ricky Fowler on this show. Ricky Fowler is a great human being and a hell of a player, right? He's played in 4 Ryder Cups, and he's played in 17 matches, Danny, and over 4 Ryder Cups and brought home 5 points.
He's 3-9-5 all time, and he went 0-2-0, obviously, at the Ryder Cup this past weekend.
Yeah, and the whole conceding, it's hard for me to even say.
I was going to ask you, what did you think?
Listen, we're going to lose anyway. I don't think that's why we lost. However, if you're playing me, you've got to crush my skull.
I got to make you make that putt.
You have got to
with everything
how
on
do you
the
crush
line?
My skull? You make that 2-foot 8-inch putt.
100%.
You do not get that putt with me.
I was shocked when he did that.
You don't.
Were you shocked as a former player?
Shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
So now it's over.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, he's going to probably make it, but that's why you play the game, Danny.
Right.
Go make it. What if he doesn't?
Now, on the flip side, there was a bright spot for the Americans, and that's Max Homa, 3-1-1.
He was absolutely outstanding. I got to tell you, he played his ass off. He played in every single match, and I was amazed at how well he handled everything, D. They played him in everything. The alternate shot, the best ball. He went out and won his individual match. I mean, not easy to do. Love the kid. Love the way he has. We have watched him on this show, and we have our other show, Beyond the Fairways, where we talk about, the betting side of, and we have watched Max Homa just climb up the ladder in confidence, in victories. He's got 6 wins on the PGA Tour now, and then he looked like he was so at home over there, Danny. How about the walk-off chip?
Oh, it was awesome.
That's Tiger-esque.
Exactly.
That was badass. I love that.
Well, at that point, I thought the Americans might be able to get some momentum and say, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel here. We can see it. There's a little glimmer of hope. Yep. And you thought, all right, they have a shot, and it just didn't happen.
Danny, starting off 0-4.
That was the key to me.
I agree with you. It's like playing a baseball game and you're down 6-0 after 3.
Just trying to play
you're
catch
like,
up.
well, maybe we can score 7.
Right.
But I don't. Yeah, that's just tough.
What'd you think of the pairings on the American side?
Head scratchers. I
mean, why do you say that?
So, Scotty Scheffler's world number 1, right?
How about him in tears?
Did you
see that?
I did.
Yeah.
So he and Brooks Koepka get the biggest whipping in the history of the Ryder Cup.
Shocking.
9-7. But that pairing is an interesting pairing to me. 2 kind of oil and water sort of characters, and sometimes that mixes. But Danny, the bottom line is, I don't think, like, if I am Zach Johnson and in the first match of the first day, I don't put Sam Burns and Scotty Scheffler together. They're too nice. I don't do it. I get it. They could play well. They certainly can. I want heart, soul, guts. I want JT out there with someone. Maybe JT and Koepka. Maybe JT and I know Jordan Spieth had a horrible. Jordan Spieth had a horrible.
It's tough to watch.
Danny, here's another guy. He just and his wife just had their second child 10 days ago.
Yeah. So where's his mind?
It's not his fault. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What the hell? And I mean, those you and I are both dads 4 times over, both of us, and you know that experience. It knocks you off your pins.
Well, I got a technicality on you.
Oh yeah,
it's 4 times over, but 3 times
for you. Yeah, you guys double dipped on one. Yeah,
it's
double dipped. You're
passed
twins.
out.
Yeah, I bet you're like, whoa, we're having what? But yeah, I don't.
Your focus is at home. I mean, let's be honest. It is.
How do you have a new one in this world that's less than 2 weeks old? And
yeah,
come on.
Yeah, that's
then
tough
your wife's
to do.
not with. It's just a weird thing. But they're going to say, hey, we're professionals. We need to put this aside. But they're also human beings first and foremost. They're not machines. I just didn't like Johnson putting Scheffler and Burns out in the number 1 group. I would have had JT and there's so much fire and so much going on in that first match, Danny, that I would have tried to fight fire with fire there and put someone with JT in there.
I couldn't wait to ask you this. We've talked a little bit about it off the air, but I wanted to get more of your reaction on the air because I think it'll be better. Rory went after a caddy, a guy that you know quite well.
Yep.
And it was not only on the course, but then there is video afterwards as he's getting in his car.
Yep.
Joe's kind of staying away.
Yep.
And there's finger pointing, there's yelling.
Yep.
Explain what happened, who these characters are, and what went down.
Okay, so we are in on Saturday, the final match of the day. And listen, we're getting our asses handed to us. We're 6 down. Yes, we're 6 down, and we have Patrick Cantlay and Wyndham Clark are playing Rory and Matty Fitz, okay? And we're losing the match. We're 1 down with 3 to play. And Cantlay holds a really nice 9-footer for par on 16 to keep the match going. Then he knocks a 10-footer in for birdie on 17 to bring the match all square and goes to 18. Wyndham puts it in a bad spot and hits flubs his chip. Patrick Cantlay, Patty Ice, holds a 43-foot birdie putt, and the Americans went crazy. So
that's when you thought, okay, maybe the momentum is shifting.
I know, and we were hoping. But in the middle of all that, Danny, Pat wasn't wearing a hat, and it got all of this attention from this joker from Sky Sports, Weir. This guy named Weir comes out with this tweet that says, Pat Cantlay and is rebelling against the fact that none of the players are receiving any sort of money and so he's showing his dissatisfaction.
He thinks that they should be paid, and this is why he's going to not wear the hat. Yeah. And by the way, it was pointed out very clearly he didn't do that. Wear the hat at Whistling Straits. So this is not something that was uncommon to him. He'd done it before.
Right. And it's crazy. Yeah, so the whole thing was baloney. And the funny thing is, when you get in the weeds on this, none of the players knew what was going on. This thing got all created while the matches were going on. No one's on their phone while they're playing, and so all the spectators are all over Cantlay all day, taking their hats off to your bank account, and they're cheering and all. And so Cantlay's just going along with it, and then he holds his putt, and then Bedlam breaks loose, right? And Joe LaCava, who's caddied for Freddie and caddied for DJ a little bit, and now and Tiger, is caddying for Pat Cantlay, and he stands on the green and he takes his hat off. And okay, so Danny, I'm going to give you my honest take. He stayed too long. He stayed on the green too long, or at least in the position he chose on the green too long, because Rory still had a 21-foot putt to tie Cantlay in the U.S., and Matty Fitz had a 19. So there were 2 putts that were still live that needed to have their opportunity to hold these things to see if they could tie us.
And normally the caddy would then go over to his player and be on the fringe or off the green.
Exactly. And you see, Joe, in my opinion, Joe stayed too long.
Part of the gamesmanship, too.
But, hey, that's right. And you're on foreign soil, and that's Joe LaCava, who's been on the show before and will come on again. He's a warrior. And if he's on your bag, Danny, he is going to stand up and take a bullet with you, for you, instead of you, whatever. and that's what you saw. And then, so then Rory misses his putt, Fitz misses his putt, and Rory is pissed off because he says this is disrespectful. And I don't see it as being disrespectful at all. I think it was a little misguided, but there was disrespect digs a deeper hole for me. I didn't see that.
Tell me the story about Seve at the Ryder Cup.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is what goes into it a little bit.
That's
so this gives a little background of the gamesmanship that takes place.
Right. We're in the 90s, early 90s. We're at the War on the Shore at Kiowa Island. Dave Stockton is captaining the U.S. side. And Seve is playing with Olazabal a lot. And these two guys are formidable. They're not losing. Well, Paul Azinger is our dude. He is up and all about all of it. And Seve's been known to rattle a coin in his pocket while you're putting or, on the top of your backswing, things like that. And so Azinger's playing with Chip Beck. And they drive, I forget, somewhere on the back nine, they drive over a crest, and all four balls are in the fairway, which is unusual when you play with Seve because he drove it all over. Anyway, so there's a ball that is reasonably close to a sprinkler head, and Zinger gets up there first, and he's making a stance, Danny, and he's like putting his feet around, and he says, "Hey, Seth, am I entitled to a drop here? This ball's really close to the sprinkler, and it's a little awkward." And Seve says, "Oh, no. This ball must be played as it lies." And Azinger says, "Good, this is your ball. Play from here." Oh, yeah. Danny, I love it. It was on. Those guys, it was on.
Would you ever do that on a PGA Tour event? Probably not, right? But the Ryder Cup's a a different.
No, so I did.
We're gonna so moment of truth for you.
Yeah, this is great. We had Chris Riley. He was a Ryder Cup guy, just a great kid, younger than his years might intimate, right? And I'm playing with.
What did you do?
I'm playing with him in San Antonio, and I couldn't hit my driver straight at all. So I don't hitting it, but I had this 3-wood that I was smashing. So I would hit I was hitting 3-wood on every hole, and I was hitting his 3-wood past his driver, and he was getting pissed. And and I could see it, and I was loving it. I mean, I'm in my late 40s, and he's a good player, but like I said, he's young, and so I could see he was getting under his skin. So we go to the back nine. We're on the 15th hole, Danny, and it's an elevated tee, and it's right back into the wind, and it's reachable. But I've got to smash this 3-wood, and I hit my 3-wood really well, but he clocks the driver. Right. So I'm like, boy, this is going to be fun. So I look up there and I knew he had hit it past me. Right. But I get out about 15 yards ahead of him and I look at the ball and it's mine. And I said, "Hey, Rouse, are you still playing that TaylorMade 3 over there?" And he goes, "Dad, did you hit it past me again?" And he just goes off and I go, No, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't playing the wrong ball. And he's like, "Oh, you got me." And it just got him so good. I gave him a big hug. I said, "Man, Just let's make some birdies, Let's just make some. It was one of those things that just happens in the middle of a round. That was a lot of fun. 2 years later, he was still talking about that 3-wood.
I bet he was.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting going back to the Ryder Cup for a moment. Would the Euros want Luke Donald to again be the captain of that Ryder Cup team? The players said yes, like right away. They were like, "We want him as our captain." Do you think that's good? For Zach Johnson, obviously, it's probably turned the page and they go a different direction for the American team. But if you win, do you stick with him? Now, it's been done many times in the past, but would the Europeans continue with Luke Donald?
I don't know. I don't know, Danny. I'm trying to think. Have the Euros ever had the same back-to-back captains?
They have. I don't know if it was longer. Did it 3 consecutive times? There was. I looked at the research, but yes, they have done that.
Yeah. So there's precedent for all of it.
Yeah.
We haven't done it I don't think the U.S. has ever done it.
In my research, I don't think the U.S. has, but the Europeans have.
Did Davis Did they do
that might be. I don't think the Americans did. But
I think you're right.
Regardless,
there was talk of it. But now here's an interesting thing for you. I don't know if they do that. One of the things that stuck out in my mind about Luke Donald was how he said he's in the weeds on all of the details. And Danny, that's part of the thing that, you find out one significant piece of data or something, and it could matter.
And analytics were a part of this too.
Absolutely. They were all over the analytics. They were all over analytics.
The only thing that it drives me crazy in any sport with analytics, it doesn't measure heart.
No.
And you just don't. How is this player going to react when they're all over you and you're playing in Europe and you're an American? Or if you go to Whistling Straits or you go to Bethpage Black, what is it going to be like when these people and these fans are all over you? Can't measure that. And it's just like that in any sport.
Let me ask you this, D. Why has Fred Couples never been Ryder Cup captain?
Probably talks too much. He was giving away the teams 3 months ago.
What? Yes, it's very interesting. So there's talk.
Why do you think?
I have a feeling that he's probably either said he doesn't want it or they just I don't think this is his cup of tea. I think he's he's done the President's Cup, but never the Ryder Cup. So it's interesting. There's something in there, and I'm not sure what.
Because he would be the prototypical type to do it. I mean, with his resume, he'd be the guy.
Prior to Liv, let me ask you this: prior to Liv and all of the nuttiness in the world of golf, Phil Mickelson was penciled in to be
100%
at Bethpage Black. I mean,
100%.
It's just the perfect spot
slam
for
dunk,
him.
easy.
If this whole thing gets settled, remember, we skip a year. There's no Ryder Cup in 2024. It's 2 years from now.
And also think about how much it's died down already, Liv.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And Phil he's got like foot and mouth disease. He's inserted his foot so many times in his mouth. Does he?
Man, I wonder if he's done so much damage that people just stay away.
I agree. As a PGA,
also the betting accusations at the Ryder Cup.
I know. This is the PGA of America's party, Dave. We have to be clear about it so our listeners understand. The PGA of America owns the entire franchise, not the PGA Tour, not the R&A, and not the USGA. This is their party. They make the calls. Seth Waugh, who used to run Deutsche Bank, is now the head of the PGA of America. And I don't see it. I don't see them. I feel like Phil's done irreparable damage to himself, his legacy, and his career, and he's just too hot a commodity. But Tiger Woods isn't.
No. That's the one that would come to mind for me.
Let me ask you this. Where the hell was Tiger?
Not to be seen.
What?
I found that very weird. I don't know if it was because of his medical situation, but even vocally, just an interview with him, just something to, hey, this is what I think. This is why it's going to be a fun event, whatever, to promote it. Didn't hear anything from him. Why? That's a great question. I wonder why.
And Danny, we need a dude.
Yep.
We needed, he could be that guy. Now, the Ryder Cup has never been his thing because it was never Jack's thing, and no one really cared about this thing until we started losing. But where was Tiger?
Great question.
I mean, he was missed.
Absolutely.
He was absolutely missed, at least. I mean, I'm sure he had some texting and some input that way, but that's not the same. That's just not the same.
I could run all show talking about the Ryder Cup, but we can't quite do that yet. So we're going to go to a break. Again, coming up, we'll visit with Vance Crowe. We're going to talk about legacyinterviews.com. But before we get to that, you had a chance to play Forest Hills this past week, and it's our tip of the cap.
Yeah, thanks. The tip of the cap is brought to you by the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, 314-966-0303. Our buddy Colin Burnt over there. Colin, thanks for supporting the show. A shout out to Jimmy Balls and staff of Nick and Matt and all the guys at Forest Hills. I got to play in Dale Turvey in the Gallagher event on Tuesday. It was a wonderful event. The guys busted their butts to make it great. It was like herding cats and keeping frogs in the wheelbarrow. All of us men over there, we had 9 We had 27 holes. We had 3 9-hole matches.
You're
Danny,
still upright,
and
by the way. 27?
It was crazy. But those guys, the food was spectacular. The golf, everything was great. And I just want to take tip my cap to those guys, Jimmy and his staff over there. They rocked it. And I've been on that side of it before. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Like daycare for 50-plus-year-old men is not easy. So that's our tip of the cap, and I want to thank Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and Colin, 314-966-0303.
All right, that's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios. It's Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. We do this every Sunday morning on 101 ESPN from 8 to 10. And coming up, a unique visit with Vance Crowe, LegacyInterviews.com, and that's next.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
This is Dan McLaughlin, inviting you to the 21st Annual Dan McLaughlin Golf Tournament to benefit the Special Education Foundation. This tournament has raised over $5 million, and 100% of the money raised has gone to children with special needs in our community. To sponsor, volunteer, or to play in the event on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club, please visit sef-stl.org. I'll see you on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
This is Chris Naegel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN. You're getting ready for your NFL Sunday. College football was yesterday. And then you say, I get to listen to Jay Delsing tell me about golf for 2 hours. Yes, you do. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios. We're presented by Darty Business Solutions. You got a lot off your chest in that first segment about the Ryder Cup.
I got lots more, man.
I know you do.
When I think about what we are talking about, and the fact that you look at the live guys.
That's where I was going to go.
Yep, you have to. You have to.
The what if with those three. The
Right.
big three for me, Reed, DJ, DeChambeau.
Right. So, Danny, look at here's the captain's picks. Burns, Spieth, Thomas, Morikawa, Fowler, Koepka.
He's the last guy, Koepka.
Absolutely. And so, Danny, you start thinking about Jordan Spieth, baby, the. Okay, you leave him off. Rookie Fowler, love him. Leave him off.
Yep.
And you go, you could make another argument for, and listen, on our other podcast.
This is hard for you to say this.
It is, because we've made a boatload of money off of Sam Burns.
Yep.
Let's just be honest. We have watched this kid. I leave him off. I don't care if he's Scotty's bodyguard. I leave him off, and I put those three guys on there.
You know, we were talking right before the break about where's Tiger Woods?
Yep.
How come Freddie has not been a captain?
Yep.
Where would you lean right now? I know we're a couple years away, but where would you lean? What direction would you look towards in terms of your captain of the upcoming Ryder Cup in a couple of years out at Bethpage Black?
Yeah, I'm probably leaning towards Tiger.
I
I'm
am
trying
too.
to think of. I mean, Danny.
I'm already starting to think about it. It's
I know.
It's just a week old.
I know. Well, it's hard not to when you
It's
when
so
you
much
love
fun.
this stuff. It is so much fun. I would have to look at the list to see if I'm skipping someone like a Stuart Sink, who's played on 5 teams. Not the personality of Tiger, but Stu, I know him well. He'd be a great captain.
Sure.
Because he's going to be like Luke Donald. He's going to be in the weeds. He's still been playing, by the way,
High
at
level.
50 years old at a high level, so he still knows the guys extremely well. He's a guy that would be in part of the consideration.
He could have won at Bell Reed, by the way,
No doubt.
at the PGA Championship.
He played with Tiger.
That's right, he did.
He played with Tiger. Remember, he just said, of course, nobody remembers it except my wife.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But you start looking at those guys, and they've got to be part of the he's got to be part of the consideration. You've got to look at what Tiger brings to the table, because it's a mixed bag, Danny, because he's been, and we've seen this in other sports before. We've seen what lousy coaches some of the greatest players are. The Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzky's and stuff, they just haven't, it just doesn't I shouldn't say lousy. That's a little harsh.
Well, they played it at such a high level. I think for them, it's like, why don't you get this?
You're not getting it.
Right.
You don't see the game the way I do. And we're like,
No, we don't.
what game?
Exactly.
Exactly. We're playing we're playing checkers and you're playing chess, man. And so it doesn't translate. And so I just don't know. But one of the things that I do know is that the older Tiger gets, the more he loses a little of that. His swagger is basically all but gone.
You know him a little bit. Do you think he'd want that responsibility of being a Ryder Cup captain? I got to wonder at this point in his life with his kids.
Yep.
Sam then will be probably 17, 18
right.
years old.
Somewhere in there, yep.
The captain, I mean, both Luke Donald and the American captain, Zach Johnson, talked about just how much they put into it, the preparation, the time, the effort, really the time being the most important one, but they almost ran out of time in all their preparation of trying to get ready. I don't know if he'd want to do that.
I agree. I don't know. I mean, the fact that Jay Monahan, our commissioner, got him to come on the board and do was a big get. First of all, Monahan's trying
the players board.
Yeah, the players board, trying to save his bacon over there and keep his job. But it's really interesting. Danny, I'd love to be a fly on the wall with some of these conversations, because we've got this task force this U.S. task force where we're, Paul Azinger broke everybody into Navy SEAL pods and did things on their personalities and things like that. And I think we're still, to my knowledge, we're still using a lot of that information to try to pair us up. But when I look at our pairings, I'm like, can anybody just have a feel for this and know the game well enough and not have to go through 77 computations about, shoe sizes and do you like blue compared to red?
At the end of the day, I always said this. At the end of the day, it's still the game.
Right.
It's still baseball, still basketball, still hockey.
Yep.
And in this case, it's still golf.
Right.
And I think many times front offices do this, and they would probably cringe when I say this. I think the Ryder Cup captains do it, but you overthink it.
No doubt.
You just flat out overthink it. Put a couple of guys that like each other, a couple guys that their games will pair up well in different formats, and roll the ball and let's go.
They're pros, and they know how to play.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you, one of the guys that we didn't talk about adding to the team, because we did talk about the live guys, would be Lucas Glover and Keegan Bradley. What are your thoughts?
Well, Lucas Glover, the way that he played at the tail end of the season, how do you not take a hard look and say this guy is putting beyond belief, and he had his putting issues from before, and now he wins back-to-back tournaments in two of the biggest tournaments of the year. Ride that out, man. Ride out the hot hand.
He's also won a major championship.
Absolutely.
He's a U.S. Open champion, and I can tell you this right now. Not one guy on that European team would want to play him.
Well, he was the guy, if you were to ask me who would you have added, he was my guy, Lucas Glover, just because of the way that he was playing. And sometimes I know momentum is huge in the game of golf. And if you get a guy that's riding out back-to-back wins like this, boy, you got to think long and hard about adding him to your team.
Well, Danny, we talked about this on prior
Hopefully
shows.
you agree.
I totally agree.
Okay.
Luke Donald did exactly that.
Yes, he did.
He picked the hot hands, and we picked who we wanted to be paired with one another.
Yeah, I just
Sam
don't.
Burns.
Yeah,
and I love the kid. And maybe he'll go win major championships and be in the Hall of Fame and all that. But I didn't like it, and this is what we're left with.
Yeah,
right. This is what we're left with. We watched that same lousy movie and that same ending. But I guess the biggest question for me on all of this, whoever's on the team, how do you come out of the bus flat? That's one call I just don't. I have no answer for that, D.
So we had to switch gears. By the way, Chris Naegel coming up in hour number 2. He's going to be in studio with us. But ask yourself this question, and it leads into our interview with Vance Crowe. And Jay had the chance to conduct what really is a fun, neat, interesting listen. But ask yourself this. What would it be like if you could listen to someone that has passed away in your life that you hold close? Could be your mom, your dad, brother, sister, whomever, son or daughter. And God, we hope that's not the case. But bringing somebody, their voice, their likeness to you, meaning a legacy interview. I know you've thought about that with your dad. I've thought about it with my dad, who's been gone for 25 years.
Same.
To hear an interview and to hear them explain their life. And that's what Vance Crowe does. And you had the chance to do this for yourself, did you not?
I did. It was one hell of an experience. It was incredible, shockingly emotional for me at certain points. And then there were other points of the interview where I laughed, when I'm thinking about some of the stupid things I did as an early dad, changing, putting diapers on backwards or forgetting diapers, and, something like that. If I could hear my dad's voice,
just hear it.
It would really be something. And, I love what they're doing with these interviews. They're really, really cool.
So Vance Crowe is Jay's guest, and so let's find out exactly what is Legacy Interviews.
Legacy Interviews is where I sit down with either an individual or a couple to video record some life stories that somebody takes as the opportunity to pass on to future generations. So people sit down with me and they talk about, what was your childhood like? What did you encounter throughout your career? And the whole goal is to try and have something that future generations can take a look at sometime in the future. Sometimes people watch them right away with their families. Sometimes they put them away for a long time. But so that grandchild or great-grandchild can look and say, that's where I came from. These are the stories of me.
Is your dad still alive? Your parents are still alive?
Both of my parents are still
alive. Both of mine have passed, and I would give anything to hear my dad talk again.
We hear this all the time, and now we've been in business for about 3 years, and so some of our guests have passed away, and we hear people talking about just the ability to know, I can go hear my dad's laughter. Yeah. I can see the video of my mom rolling her eyes at the way dad tells that story, but then them having that camaraderie and that love together. And oftentimes these stories that people tell are not secrets, but they're stories that the person's just never had the occasion to tell their kids or their grandkids about. And so people watch these videos and they say, I got a letter not that long ago from a woman that said, I am a 40-year-old woman, and today is the first day I feel like an adult after having watched that video, because I got to find out that my parents didn't know what they were doing when they were raising kids either.
Right.
And so you get to see your parents in a different way, because they're talking with somebody that's just interested in their stories, and you get to see them open up and tell you things that they've always wanted you to know, but just wasn't the right time.
Yeah, you know, Vance, oftentimes your children, your adult children, until they start having children of their own and start exploring the world of parenthood, which is a gong show.
Crashing into reality,
exactly.
Really.
You're like, what the hell, man? But those questions, I never asked my parents things like that, you know, that like you're saying, it's not a secret, but, you know, you almost didn't think to ask, hey, Dad. It just never presents itself.
Yeah, like, you know, it's hard to go to your dad and say, hey, did you ever have a time in your work where you really made a mistake? And you know, what did you learn from that?
Right.
He has those stories inside of him.
Right.
And when he shares those stories, you realize, I could have easily done that too. Thank goodness I have this story. One of my favorite questions to ask people, what was the most difficult lesson to learn that was the most valuable to know? Because this is one of those things where, depending on what stage of life you are, and we usually talk about this towards the end of the interview. So we've talked about your childhood and how good of a student were you, and did you take the test seriously, and what was there to learn in your career? But when we get to this part, towards the end, and we're asking that question, you find out that there's a lot of things that people struggled with that they've just never been able to talk about. So, you know, we think of things like vices or gambling or something like that, but oftentimes it's, you know, I wish I didn't care so much about what people thought of me.
Right.
Or I really wish that I had taken more time with my kids earlier. And I think the reason that this is so important is it gives that next generation, or maybe 2 or 3 generations, the permission to learn that lesson without having to experience it.
That's it. That's priceless. Tell us how you started this. So, because I know you as a podcaster, I know you as a public speaker, your public speaking stuff. I love listening to you public speak. I love the way you would command an audience, but you also spoke about stuff I had never heard or knew anything about when in the field of agriculture and ag products. But how did the legacy interviews come about?
So in order to give good talks, you have to have new ideas. So I have a podcast, and I just want to interview people that are interesting. It could go all the way from being a diplomat to a farmer to a prostitute to an economist. I just want to talk with interesting people. And one of my listeners one time wrote me and said, hey, I want to drop by your studio, and I have a book I want you to read. I think you'll like it. So he comes by, and he has his 6-year-old son with him. And as soon as the son hears my voice, his eyes get really big.
Like, I know that guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're the guy on the radio.
That guy, yeah.
And so he even quotes the line back to me from my podcast. And so I said, oh, you listen. And he's like, with my dad in the truck. So I was like, well, why don't we go record a podcast? So me and the son and the dad all go down to my studio. It was in my house at the time. I put the headphones on and we turn on the lights and the cameras. And I just record a podcast that a 6-year-old could answer the question. So he's got these big headphones on, his legs are dangling off the chair, and I'm asking him questions like, what do you think your dad does for a living? And, what food do you wish mom let you eat more of? And who's your best friend? And this kid is answering him as though he is on Meet the Press.
Yeah.
He's
right,
like leaning forward, he's like ready, right?
Fun.
He's imagined doing this podcast. So we finish up, I edit it, I send it on a CD to his dad and say, play it for him in the truck sometime. A couple months later, his dad calls me up out of the blue. He's like, hey, I was at a party this weekend, and then we were playing a game. And the game, one of the questions was, if your house were on fire and you could only grab one thing, what would it be?
Wow.
He's like, I knew instantly that it was the interview you did with my son. because I can't go back and get it again, and he wouldn't have answered the questions that he answered for you the same way for me. It was a unique thing that it was somebody else doing the question asking.
Right.
And he was like, I don't know what you should do with this, but I think you should do something with it. And so I went out onto my podcast and said, hey, we're about 3 months before Christmas. If anybody wants me to interview their parents or their kids to do something similar to this, let me know. I thought I was going to get 2 or 3. I got so many, I couldn't get them all done but before Christmas. And that was when I was like, okay, people really do want to capture these ideas. They want to capture these stories and these memories. How can I create this as a service? So we started building it out. I got a studio outside of my house, and 3 years later, here we are.
Vance, I was blown away at how emotional it was at certain times. We laughed and cried and all, experienced all 4 seasons in that, hour and a half.
That's one of those things that it's so hard to tell people, what is the experience of a legacy interview going to be like? Because I think a lot of times people think like, oh, am I going to get judged, right? Like, am I going to share some secret? And what ends up happening is we sit down and we answer questions that are easy at first, right? They're about like, were your parents strict?
Yeah. What was grade school like?
Yeah. But as we get talking, oftentimes people realize like, hey, these are things that I would love to share about. But nobody's ever asked me.
Right.
And if somebody did ask me, really oftentimes we get to the end of my answer and they're ready to tell me their answer to the same question.
Right.
Whereas here, you have an hour and a half to 2 hours where all I am interested in is capturing the exact stories that you want to capture in the way that you want to capture them. And so people have usually like exactly what you're describing, some really high points. They have to go through some of the lower points. We talk about what were the lessons out of that. And by the time they're done, I always tell people, if you got this as a gift for your parent or you got this for a client, you should be in the waiting room when we're done, because people have this sense of euphoria, this sense of like, I hadn't even thought of these memories in so long and now they're captured.
Yeah.
So people leave here feeling really uplifted. In fact, one of the hardest lessons I had to learn in the business was not how do I get people to start talking,
how do we get them to
stop?
I could get like that as well. How can we tell our listeners how they can reach out, how they can learn more about the Legacy Interview?
We have a website, legacyinterviews.com, and there you can go and find out about our half-day service and our full-day service. And if you have questions, you can always just write me. I'm Vance at legacyinterviews.com.
So you head to legacyinterviews.com. Well-conducted interview, Jay. And,
thank you.
You went through that as the guy on the other side of the mic, but Vance is on this side of the mic interviewing the participants. Yeah, I go back to what we were talking about initially, is that I would do anything. I always said I would do anything to have one more catch with my dad.
Yeah.
That would be, if somebody,
that'd be special.
If somebody said to me, what would you do with your dad? I'd say, hand me a couple of gloves, and he was a lefty, and if not, we'll turn one inside out. Let's play some catch.
Yeah.
You know, but if I could hear him again, if I could see him one more time, but to hear his life experiences of things that I had no idea about, and hell, he doesn't care. He's gone, so he's telling the truth.
Right.
That would be amazing.
Exactly. And Danny, you hear the real life struggles that your parents were going through when you and I were kids.
And you had no idea.
And you had no idea. You're like, why is Dad so crabby?
Right.
Dad's kind of being really super pissed right now. And he's
You're trying to find the right word.
I know. I was going
you
off.
Said the wrong word.
I know. I was going off the grid. But I think that's one of the cool things that Vance and the Legacy people are doing. And now this idea is catching on, and a lot of other folks are doing it, and it's pretty special. What I talked to Vance about, which is really kind of cool, I'm going to sit the girls down, and we're going to watch it before I die.
Oh, man.
I know, and I am nervous about that already.
So you're going to sit down, your 4 girls.
Maybe I'll die before I turn on the machine over there.
You're going to sit them down.
Yeah.
The girls.
We're going to watch it.
And you're going to watch it together.
Just the 4 of it. Yep. Probably there are a couple son-in-laws. Yeah, I know. Whew.
Wow.
Man, I'm going to take my sweatshirt
You're gonna
off
be a
right
basket
now.
case,
I
man.
know. I was a basket case when we were doing the interview. There were certain things when I can just remember, when Mackenzie was born, she was 7 weeks early, and she was in the intensive care unit because her lungs weren't fully developed. And hell, Danny, you walk in, you've raised so much money for sick kids, and I've done the same. And then all of a sudden, your daughter's in one of these incubators, and you're like, this
Can't imagine it. Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
Just the most helpless feeling you could ever have.
Interview is well done. Good job.
Thank you. Yep.
So that is legacyinterviews.com. It's Golf with Jay Delsing. It's a Sunday morning. Chris Naegel will be our guest coming up in hour number 2. We'll visit with him in studio, and more to come when Golf with Jay Delsing from the Car Shield Studios.
I'd like to welcome I Promise to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. What is I Promise, you ask? It's a St. Louis-based company with the most clinically backed eye health performance supplement brand with over 20 years of eye health expertise and nutrition science. It's all natural, and their cutting-edge science and technology has helped I Promise forge many exciting new golf partnerships, like with the PGA of America, the Titleist Performance Institute, the Ledbetter Academy, and many more. Perhaps the most exciting component for me is that all of this new improvement is measurable. I can tell you that in my case, my initial score was around 0.25, and after taking the I Promise product for 2+ months, my score soared to almost 0.60. It had more than doubled. I can now read the greens better because I'm not really dealing with as much glare and trying to manage that, and I squint much less when I'm playing golf. And you don't have to take it from me. Check out what Padraig Harrington has to say about this product. He is playing some of the best golf of his career in his early 50s, and he swears I Promise has helped improve his short game. Check out I Promise. That's I Promise, the company helping us to see better, play better, and live better. Visit them at ipromise.com.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our Back Nine Bar and Grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on. We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. We just heard from Vance Crowe. We've also talked a lot about the Ryder Cup, and coming up this hour, we visit with in-studio Chris Naegel. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. I want to get in right away with Chris Naegel is how he got involved in the game of golf.
I know.
Do you remember that first time that you grabbed a club and you said, "Ooh, I got the bug. This has got me"?
Well, I just was always wanting to do something, and I was starting to get disappointed and having, there's nothing worse than having your pickup game, a baseball, and in the third inning, the shortstop's got to go have dinner or gets in trouble with his sister, and now all of a sudden the game, it used
You
to
controlled it.
piss me off. And so then the golf was like, hey,
It's on you.
54 holes a day. I'm playing with I'll never forget. We got plastic golf balls, and I'm swinging these red clubs out in the backyard and just whacking these wiffle balls all over the place.
That's great.
Yeah, and then
Everybody's got a different story. So
Yeah.
I'm curious with Chris. He grew up, by the way, in California,
Yeah.
I believe.
Anaheim. I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so then moved to St. Louis. But it's always interesting. I don't know about you. I don't know what you would have done, and you would have been one of the players that they approached for Liv. I want to ask him if he's been approached by Liv and where he's at with that, because you had the big names that went, and then you had the kind of middle tier, and you had some low tier guys to fill out the tour.
Yep.
You could sit there and bash these guys all you want, but man, it's hard to say no to $200 million guaranteed to go play 54-hole events. I don't care who you are. You may say no right off the bat, but at least for a split second, you're thinking about it. I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, well, right. And Denny, when you're talking about a situation like Rory, who's offered, 300, whatever.
Tiger was reportedly, 800?
Yeah, right. So those guys got offered that. But you're talking about a Chris Naegel who's 40 years old, got 3 children, still working his way towards the PGA Tour, and he's got all the game he needs. Trust me on that. But they come up and say, hey, Negs, 3-year deal. Here's 15 mil. What?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Life-changing
Think about
money.
that. Well, wait. His responsibility as a man is to take care of his family. We've talked about this before and how important that is to you and I to be able to provide.
That 5-footer becomes a little easier, doesn't it?
Exactly. And then all of a sudden you start thinking, well, yeah. That's,
You got to think about it.
I'm thinking about it. 3 years.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep.
I always love asking athletes, what was your welcome to the big leagues moment? I'm going to ask Chris that.
Yeah.
What was your moment that you knew, man, here I am. I made it. I'm watching on the ice next to Wayne Gretzky. I'm facing Albert Pujols.
Sure.
Albert's my teammate,
Right,
whatever. But
right.
that welcome to the big leagues moment, and I've even got one. Just the first game I ever did, and I walked out and I was hyperventilating after the first half inning.
What was it? Who was the game? Where were you? Was it at Busch Stadium?
Well, the first game I ever did was I flew from Vancouver doing the Blues, had on a puddle jumper to Seattle, Seattle all night down to Jupiter, and then the next day did the game. And A.J. Burnett
Seattle to Jupiter.
Yeah, it was a long night.
How'd you feel? You felt like a quarter the next day.
A little tired,
like,
a little tired. And I was doing the game with Al and Joe Buck, and Joe tried to loosen me up by talking about A.J. Burnett's nipple rings. So that was the first game I ever had. And then the first regular season game I ever had, I think I don't think I know. I mixed up the manager and the third base coach of the Pirates, and I thought, I'm getting fired. And I walked out in a half inning, and I literally was hyperventilating.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Well, and for you, it's like, when you're anxious and you're playing a sport, it's nice to be hit, or it's nice to be, where you can have that release.
I can't take it back. I couldn't take it back. I said, Gene Lamont, and then it's Gene Mock, and then it's Gene this guy.
Oh, it's Gene. It's
the hell with it. Gene's down there, and he's overweight coaching third.
That's right. He looks bad in the uniform. That's all we know.
Bad in a uniform.
Bad in a uniform.
What about for you, though? What was that first time? And I bet it maybe hit in college when you're playing with some pretty big names.
Yeah, the college stuff, when I won my first event, and I kept getting close, and I kept losing in a playoff, and I'll never forget the first tournament. I thought I chipped in on 18. It wasn't a very good chip. It was screaming across the green, hits the flag, falls in, and my team's like, I think you're going to win. Like a team, we smoked them.
Yeah.
The team. So everybody's like, we think you're going to win.
That's the last thing you need to hear, by the way.
I know.
Just play it out and see where the chips fall.
I know. So I'm finished playing, and the last guy comes in, and he birdies the last hole, and he ties me. So we go along, and I've never been in a playoff before. So I go along, and I birdie the first hole. I'm like, oh, I got it. And then he birdies the first hole. And then all of a sudden I get up there, and when you let your guard down, like I'm like, oh, this is over. I got up on the next tee. I'm distracted. And I wing one into the bushes somewhere, and I lost. And then I got close again, and I had it, and I didn't, and I missed about a 6-foot birdie putt on the last hole to give me a 2-stroke lead, and I missed it, and a guy ties me, and I get in a playoff, and I stick one, and the first tournament I won, I'm like, I don't care what happens. My foot's on the gas, and I'm going deep as I can go. And Danny, I shot 71, 66, 65. My first tee shot I hit out of bounds, and
still put up those numbers.
And Danny, my last 9 holes, I was so determined. I'm like, I'm birdieing in every hole. And I was hitting putts. They were lipping out, and I'm like, I don't care. And I get down to the last hole, and I hit a 5-iron into the green, and I hit this probably the worst shot of the whole event. Hit it way left, and then hit my wedge up about 6 inches from the hole, and tap it in. The guys are like, you won by 8.
It's amazing.
Or 1 by 7. One by, and I was like, what?
It's amazing.
Because you just had that, and that was that like when the dust settles, and you look back and go, and this was the best field that we had all year other than the NCAA, because Oklahoma State was there, Houston was there, Wake Forest, all the boys were there, and the UCLA team won by 30.
Wow.
And I won the event by like 7 or 8, and it was like,
I belong, right?
I'm like, I can do this.
That's right.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, D, you want to talk about can't not wait to play the next event?
Oh, I bet.
I'm like, let's just play. Can we just go and play right now?
Didn't it take you over the hump, too? You finally say, oh, not only can I compete with these guys, I can beat them. Right. I can win. Right. And when you had that first taste of it, all of a sudden the chains are off, and you're off and running, man.
Yep. I think I won 3 or 4 more times that year, and I had someone just sent me this, my first All-American year. I think I had
only had 2 of them.
4 wins. Well, I had 4 wins, but I had like 18 top 10s.
Wow.
And Danny, top 10 wasn't even in the, I was thinking about win. I want to win. And it's just like we talk, like when I'm working with your children, it's like you don't aim for the middle. You aim for the top, and if you miss, you're still close to the top. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You set your sights high.
You go to win, man.
You
don't go to play second.
Nope. Nobody remembered. Crazy. No, that's what someone said to me about the Ascension.
Second place finishes. Proud of them.
Lovely.
But the idea is to win.
No. Someone said to me, "Wouldn't it be great if you could finish second at the Ascension tournament?"
Hell
and I
no.
said, "Nope." I'm not. They're like, "You would make X." I go, "Dude, this isn't about money. This is about a trophy.
Yeah.
This is about a trophy, man. This is not about the money."
One of the funny things with Chris Naegel I want to jump into, because I love getting the reactions of all the guests that we've had when we asked them about Full Swing, which was the Netflix series.
So good.
It showed primarily life on the PGA Tour of multi-millionaires.
Right.
And I mean millionaires.
A lot of our boys that disappointed us
at
greatly
the
Ryder Cup.
So they're flying privately. Yep. They're doing a lot of the things, the chef, the
yoga instructors.
They got it all.
Yeah.
Then if you ask a guy like Chris Naegel, who's fighting on the Corn Ferry and Monday qualifying and those kind of things, well, it's a little different lifestyle. I always love seeing the reaction. Me personally, I love the Netflix series. I thought it was great for the game.
Yep.
Now, it showed a side of it that is elite, which is fine, because people love to see, it's like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. You would sit there and watch it because you're like, oh, my God, look at this, look at that, look what they have. I just think it's human nature. We stay to watch. So it exposed you to the game of golf, which was great. Maybe you got some more fans out of it, which I guarantee they did.
No doubt.
So I'm a fan of it, but I always love seeing the reaction of those that don't quite live that lifestyle, what they have to say.
Absolutely. Plus, Danny, how cool is it to just pull the curtain back a little bit? I mean,
that's the other part.
Look, when you
see the guys talk like human beings, when all you see is on Thursday through Sunday in a quick snippet of an interview, or they're up at a podium. So it's definitely seeing that side of them.
Absolutely, D. And you take a guy like Albert Pujols and your great calls and his 7-0, all that, and then you think, well, the rookie on the team, oh yeah, he's still making $1 million.
Right.
You know, it's not so. We're talking about areas that most of the public can't relate to, and I think that's what makes it so interesting, you know, because just making it to the big leagues is a huge deal. And maybe, you know, a rookie like Jordan Walker is going to be a Hall of Famer. Maybe he's going to have an injury, and God forbid he doesn't. You know, you just don't know, and I think that's why we watch.
I do too. I totally agree. So Chris Naegel, I can see him outside our window right now.
Yep.
He is ready to come in
Get
studio.
in here, Nags.
And by the way, if you'd want to email us, and we'll answer a few emails at the end of the show, jay@jdelsinggolf.com. jay@jdelsinggolf.com. Chris Naegel is coming up. He'll be in studio. We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios, and we're presented by Darty Business Solutions.
The Gateway section of the PGA, led by Allie Wells, is the center of golf for us here in St. Louis. With over 350 men and women in the organization, you'll be hard-pressed to find a golf course, driving range, or practice facility where one of these men and women members are not present working tirelessly to enhance your golf experience. From PGA Reach, the charitable foundation arm of the section, which raises and donates millions of dollars to the needy in our community, to PGA Hope, that helps and supports our former military through the game of golf, to the PGA Junior League, which has turned out to be a game changer for creating opportunities and bringing more young players into the game. Our Gateway section remains committed to growing the game of golf. Again, at this year's Ascension Charity Classic, PGA Reach will be one of the benefactors of our Legends Charity Shootout, where half of the money raised will go to PGA Reach. The Gateway section of the PGA, helping us all enjoy the game we love.
Hey St. Louis, Eddie McVeigh here from Maggie O'Brien's. When you head downtown for a concert or cards or blues game, and now for the St. Louis City soccer game, please come see us at Maggie O'Brien's before and after your event. Take our shuttle to and from, or stay in-house and watch your favorite team on our multiple high-def TVs. We look forward to seeing you soon at one of our 2 locations in Sunset Hills on South Lindbergh or downtown at the corner of Market and 20th Street. Union Station is next to us.
Did you know that Marcone is the largest distributor of General Electric appliance parts in North America? That's right, Marcone does that. Did you know that their worldwide headquarters are located right here in St. Louis? Well, if you didn't know that then, you'll know it now, because CEO Jim Sowers is a philanthropic force in our community. Besides the most recent Marcone military and first responders viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, which, by the way, was a huge hit here and has been copied at other PGA Tour and PGA Tour Champions events, Marcone has purchased and donated many vital service dogs for our wounded military heroes, which help them transition back into society after sustaining catastrophic battlefield injuries. Jim and Marcone also support the Backstoppers, the police and the firefighters, the local naval organizations, and many, many more. Marcone, the company that calls St. Louis home, that always strives to improve and enhance our community in so many different ways. That's Marcone.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
We're coming to you from the Car Shield Studios, and we're presented by Doherty Business Solutions with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and what a pleasure it is to have in studio a guy that is making a name for himself on the PGA Tour and calling St. Louis home now, and that's Chris Naegel. And Chris, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Nags, it's great to have you in. And man, first of all, I want to talk about this year, but tell the folks just a little bit of some story. You got 3 boys. You and Lindsay been married a little bit. You got a great wife, but give us some background on what's happening and here in town.
Yeah, I got the 3 boys, 9, 6, and 4, so right in the thick of it. Married to a wonderful St. Louis gal, of course. Just celebrated, or we're going to celebrate 17th year anniversary on the 30th here. So
congratulations, man.
Yeah,
Wait
it's
a minute,
fun.
you're too young to be 17 years, man.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, I got married when I was 23. Didn't know what I was doing, but held on to her. So
Good for you.
got super lucky. But yeah, just life is fast and just trying to chase my ball around the field when I can.
You're from Anaheim, but now you call St. Louis home. So a lot of roots in California, warm weather, and then trying to play in the cold weather. Give us the differences and what it's been like for you to prepare dealing with cold weather and then getting back on tour and doing your thing.
Yeah, it's well, growing up in California, I didn't play golf till I moved to St. Louis, so I don't really know much about the
Is that right?
playing in nice weather in the winter.
And how old were you when you moved to St. Louis?
I was 12, so I was still young.
So you hadn't picked up a club until you were 12 years old,
Not till I
essentially.
was 16, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was a baseball guy growing up.
How did it all come together for you? How did it all start?
I played freshman baseball at Marquette, and I kind of realized I wasn't going to get to play much, but like 2 innings a game. So played golf spring break that year, and it's kind of fun. And
Did you just get the bug?
yeah, my dad's side of the family is a golf family, so it's always been there if I wanted it, but I never really played it. So I got pretty good instruction pretty quickly, and kind of took off.
That's awesome, Nate. So, so do you have your boys? What besides wrestling, doing
Beating up on each other?
Yeah, tree climbing, rock throwing. What are the boys like? What are they playing?
So my oldest is into everything. He just won a triathlon,
Is
10
that
and under, triathlon at Baldwin.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
It's not a full triathlon; it's watered down, but still, he swam.
Well, he's probably in better shape than the 3 of us.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I would
He's pretty
imagine
good.
so.
Yeah, I can say from this chair, way better.
And how about the other 2?
The other 2 are kind of they're Max, my middle, is into bike riding. He wants to do all the mountain bike tricks. Watches that on YouTube, and he's doing karate. And then the 4-year-old is just kind of shadowing the other 2.
What's it like being a St. Louis guy? And we like to say it's a big town, but it's a small town, and everybody knows your name in the world of golf, and certainly here in St. Louis. What's that like for you in trying to get around, do your stuff, be just a normal dad, a normal husband? But the golfers, man, they want to pick your brain. I guarantee it.
Sure. Yeah, I'm pretty low key, so I don't really go out a ton. When I go to Meadowbrook, where I play and practice, I get kind of hounded, but I love it because they're such a big supporter of mine. So I love that part of it. But yeah, I kind of low key, so I don't get hounded too much, but I like it when people come up and say hi.
Sure.
Nate, you're a friendly guy. Talk a little bit about the support that Meadowbrook's giving you, because they've got a new pro out there. Paul and his staff do a great job, but the membership there is fantastic and been in your corner for quite a while.
Yeah, they've been, they've been there when it's been high, when it's been low. Paul, the new pro, he's been there just over probably a little bit longer than a year now, but he's awesome. Runs a great ship over there. And, I mean, the people are wonderful. Nothing but support. I mean, when I play well, I get hundreds of messages, and even when I'm not playing well, I get messages, which is kind of rare.
Yeah, and you know, Naegel, we played out there, Danny, not long ago, and they've done a phenomenal job just for the membership out there. Now, the golf course, in my opinion, is way too hard from the back tees, but especially the greens. But, you know, that bar that they set up next to the pool, just all of the changes that they've made with the short game area, they've done a great job out there.
Yeah, I think it's a very underrated place in town. They're always trying to add amenities and make it, you know, family friendly and just a place where you can go and kind of detach from the world. It's awesome. And the golf course, I think the renovations it definitely made it harder, which I like. Those bunkers get the membership pretty good, though.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Between that and some of the tiers in the greens. I said to a fellow we were playing with, Paul Worth, I said, what's the average number of 3-putts you have here when you play? He's like, I don't even count. You know, so we were setting the over and under at like 5.
Oh, yeah, and we were taking the over, believe me.
Yeah.
How about for you? When did you know that, you know what, I can make a living on the PGA Tour or at least become a pro?
Probably college. I was an All-American in college my senior year.
Where at?
At Missouri Baptist University.
Okay, so you went MOBAB.
Yeah. Somebody finally gave me a degree.
Yeah, good for you.
Had to make the parents happy. So I was an All-American. I won like 4 events that year, and I was like, well, I don't want to get a real job, so I'll just go play golf and see what happens. And I had enough support to do that, and I've avoided, you know, I guess what you call the real world long enough. So
who taught you? Who was a really good mentor for you growing up?
I probably learned a lot early, or the most, from Brian Fote. I went and worked with him
over at Belle Reve.
At Belle Reve,
yeah,
and Rob Sidorczyk has kind of helped me a lot.
Family Golf and Learning Center.
Yeah, now I'm working with a little bit with Bobby Pavlonis. So
we got Norwood Hills, baby. We got the triumvirate over there. That's perfect.
You know, just making my rounds. But all 3 of them have been they've been in my corner and very supportive, and I've learned a lot from, you know, each one in different aspects of the game. So.
Next, last year you did something, I don't know if they even keep records like this, but you went out on the PGA Tour and you Monday'd in 4 events in a row, right? You went, wasn't it? You went Quad Cities, but whatever it is, you were getting stuck on 64, which is like and 65 and 66, which is a great neighborhood to hang out in as a professional golfer.
Yeah.
What in the hell happened? So as I recall, it was you got in quad through the Monday and shot 64. 65.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, whatever it was. And then you finished 16th in the tournament.
Yep.
And then you went to, what was next? Was it Detroit next?
Yeah, it's kind of whirlwind. I think it was no, it was out in California.
Was it?
Lake Tahoe.
Oh, that's right. The Reno Tahoe event.
The point system.
Yep. Stableford. Yep.
And then went to Quad Cities. No, I'm sorry. Twin Cities.
Yep.
And then Detroit.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's Minneapolis, then Detroit, and for the most, and then you had talk about the golf that you were playing. I mean, it's just incredible. First of all, to get through 1 4 spot a year it's noteworthy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think it started with the U.S. Open. I hadn't played much golf kind of leading up to the qualifier that year, and I think I played the Metro out at St. Albans was like the only like event that had multiple day event I played before U.S. Open sectionals, and I was able to get in, play pretty solid there at the U.S. Open, and then because I didn't have status, so I wasn't playing much.
That's what I was going to ask. So you couldn't last year get into any of the Corn Ferry, so you were playing where you could.
Correct. Yeah, and then making the cut at the U.S. Open allowed me to bypass the pre-qualifier. So I was like, well, I'm going to go play the PGA Tour Mondays because there's the most upside there.
Yeah.
So, and then I went and qualified for John Deere and just played like I wouldn't say it was like a run. It was just kind of the golf I was capable of playing for a while.
Yeah.
I was injury free, felt good.
Made some putts,
which
never hurts.
Never hurts. You can't ever make too many putts.
No, you can't.
It's not a thing. But yeah, it was good. And then I go play these tour setups and have to go do the Monday qualifier. And the Monday qualifier course seems so simple because there's no rough. The greens are slow. The pins are in the middle. I'm not trying to discount 65s, but like after playing a tour setup, those courses are simple.
Right.
Chris Naegel is our guest, and a guy that is now living in St. Louis, competing on the PGA Tour. I always love asking a pro athlete their welcome to the big leagues type moment or welcome to the PGA Tour type moment where you're like, wait a minute, I'm actually out here. Did you have one of those moments that kind of hit you over the head with that?
Man, I'm sure I did.
Because it's amazing to go on the PGA Tour. You're one of the best in the world. You're like, 0.001% in the world that has a chance to do what you're doing.
What's your world ranking now? That makes it's like 600 or something like that, 650, somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I'd never look at that stuff, but I looked the other day because my oldest son's kind of like, "What's up, Dad?"
What's up, Dad? You're like,
so it was like 627. I was like,
627,
all
right on. Yeah.
When you Monday in, you don't get good pairings. You're with the sponsor exemption or the Monday other guys, so you don't really get to play with superstars or what you call powerhouses on the tour. But my probably first let's go kind of moment was I got to play a Sunday round with Pat Perez, probably 2017.
Yeah,
and that was kind of cool because he was playing nice at the time and he had a big following, and Thursday, Friday I'm playing with nobody watching, and then all of a sudden people show up, so it's kind of cool.
It makes me think Pat Perez now would live. Did you have any inclination or was there any interest in you potentially going to live?
Everybody asked me that. I was never approached or kind of even thought about it, really.
Sure.
I just kind of watched the whole thing unfold from like an outsider perspective. I mean,
but it's something, though, to be a PGA Tour player. There is meaning behind it. There's meaning to have a card. There's meaning to play in a PGA Tour event. And it's no disrespect to Liv or the players that are playing there. I mean, there's some of the biggest names in the world in golf. But, man, to play in the PGA Tour, it's what you dream about as a kid.
Right. It's the only, it's the pedestal. It's where everybody wants to play. It's got the majors. It's got the shortened field invitationals. It's, it's what everybody watches.
So, Nick, you had because of the way you played last year, you had full status on Korn Ferry this year, didn't you?
I was considered full status, but no guaranteed start because I was playing out of the FedEx Cup category from points.
Okay.
Kind of, there's all these different
You
categories.
need a Rubik's Cube and 3 accountants to help you figure that out. But so let's talk about your year a little bit, because when most people don't know this, and Danny and I, we talk about this all the time. Professional golfers make 80% of their money in 6 weeks. It's just how it is. And so when you're playing well, you're not looking to take your foot off the gas at any time, are you?
Yeah, you got to go. It's you don't get many chances. Yeah, I agree with that. Guys get hot. The talent level's so deep that everybody can play. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
What do you do in the off season? So right now you got a little break. So of course you love coming into studio and talking with us. That's first on your
list.
That's
the highlight of his day.
It
we
really
know that
is.
for sure.
The highlight of everybody's off season. But what is it like for you this off season? Is it something that you're working on a particular point in your game, changing your body? What do you try to do?
So got the Q school coming up. I have the Korn Ferry membership for next year wrapped up. I don't have guaranteed starts, so I need to do that, but they got the PGA Tour cards available at Q School, so I'm going to do that. Actually leaving on Sunday to go play the Mississippi PGA Tour Monday qualifier. So it's not
an off season.
No, I got a lot of golf up until December, so I'm
take me to
forward
December
to
then. What's December till whenever you play next? What's that like?
So I'll probably head out to Phoenix for a week or two at a time, just to keep in touch with the game. I don't want it to totally dissipate, but it is nice to get away from it.
I was going to ask you, isn't that part of it, the mental side of it? Just I need to get away. I need to put the clubs away, and I just need to live.
Yes, I think come middle January, the last couple of years, I'm like, let's go. This is exciting because I haven't played or touched the club, and I'm excited to play again. It's like it's a job, so you got to get away from it, but it's also a job, so you can't get too far away from it.
Absolutely,
Niggs. It's try to take us into what it's like mentally on a Monday after you've played, after you've maybe been in contention, whatever it is, because I don't think most people understand what it's like to have your mind just go white, just out.
Yeah, it definitely crashes. It's the whole mental. I don't know if it's a letdown or I don't know how you describe it. Just there's a blank stare there. It's hard to do stuff on Monday. You got to make yourself. You got to be
process
disciplined.
much. You kind of look there. You're staring at the TV maybe, or you're looking at your breakfast. You're not eating. It's weird. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, it's when you're playing multiple weeks in a row. I think Mondays are a mandatory off day when you're traveling. I know some guys go to the course and practice a little bit, but I got to get away. I don't know how you are when you play, but
same. Mondays were laundry days, whatever the other glamorous things, the other glamorous things we get to do when you're staying on the road.
You guys lead me to what I wanted to ask. Did you watch Full Swing on Netflix?
I did not. No.
Okay, you know about it though.
You don't want to.
I got a lot of text messages with a screenshot of my name on the board, and people, did you see this? I'm like, no, man, I got 3 kids. I got
I was wondering if you saw that, and then secondarily is how some of these guys are traveling. That's not necessarily the case for every PGA Tour player that is traveling private jets, cars waiting for them, nutritionist, all that kind of stuff that goes into it.
Right, yeah, my jet's got a flat tire. So.
Yeah, right. Mine's missing a wing. They're still building it, Maybe by the time I'm 80, we'll get that thing put together.
Is there somebody you tailor your game after, whether it was as a young kid or you watch now and you go, you know what, I need to kind of look and make a tweak the way that this guy's doing his business?
Honestly, there was a lot of guys I'd watch videos and try to tailor my swing after, and I think that kind of caused some issues. Since the technology's so good now, I just hit on TrackMan and I know my parameters, and I don't care what it looks like. As long as I can hit my parameters, I'm going to hit it nice.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Things I can remember when you were starting in your career, you struggled a little bit with the putter, and that's not really the case. I mean, we can always make more putts, don't get me wrong, but talk a little bit about how that transformation's come about. And your short game went from being maybe not a strength to it's really damn good now.
Yeah, so, the putting, I asked you for putting help quite a bit, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And this year, I just let my overall putting, I tied for 7th for Korn Ferry for the
Amazing.
year. So I've always hit it long. That's been a strength of mine. Maybe not always straight, but
way long.
It's a power game, so you got to hit it nice and straight and long. But yeah, short game is everything. And now when I practice, I put the TrackMan out and I hit pitching wedge through lob wedge, and that's pretty much it.
I was going to ask you that. There's so many people that are the average weekend golfer listening to this, or a hack like myself. So I'm curious, what do you do? What are the drills that you work on putting and short game? What are those kind of things what do they look like?
So with wedges, I use the clock system, and I got 3 numbers for every wedge.
Sure.
And then chipping around the green, I'll play like a point system game where I'll take 3 to 5 balls, and if I don't chip it inside a club length, it's minus points. Or if I do each ball, and I got to get 50 points and got to do it.
So you stay there until you get there.
Yeah, sometimes it takes 20 minutes, or sometimes it takes 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
but
it's great.
Boy, I've had those 2.5 hour days before we start wondering, am I ever going to get to go home?
Yes. To be good at this game, you got to do the stuff you don't want to do. Everybody wants to bang drivers and hit high fading 7-irons, but that doesn't really get you far.
Do you think it was good that you played baseball growing up and maybe was not a full-time golfer as a 5-year-old kid, and all of a sudden you're training all the way through, but you had other sports that you relied on before you got to golf?
For sure. Trying to raise 3 boys, we're trying to get them to play everything. We see all these kids pick a sport at such a young age, and then there's burnout.
Yeah.
By 12, 13, 14, they're like, I just want to play my tablet because I don't want to see a baseball ever again. I've played so much, or soccer, or whatever sport. But I think playing multiple sports should become a better athlete in the long run.
What keeps you busy, by the way, if you're not playing golf and not chasing 3 kids?
I work out a little bit. Try to hang with friends. I mean,
look at the way he's built. He works out a little bit.
Try to be a full-time dad.
Work out a little bit more than a little bit.
Yeah, you're looking good, Nix.
Just eating good.
Yeah.
So as we wrap it up, what's the ultimate goal for you? Everybody would say, hey, let's win a major. Let's do something spectacular. But what is the ultimate goal as you continue to grow in the PGA Tour?
I'm 40, and I feel like I could play on the tour for like a good 7-8 years if I keep in good shape. So my goal is to get out there sooner than later and just play till I'm like 50. I don't know if I necessarily want to play golf the rest of my life, but
then there's PGA Tour champions too.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that cart. It looks nice. But yeah, I would like to just have a, I don't need a Tiger Woods career. I would like to just get out there and play solid for, 3 to 7 years and hang my hat on that and just show my boys that I never gave up, even though it didn't go as smooth as, it does in your mind.
I love that. You're an example for your boys.
Yeah,
that's great.
Well, the other thing too, Nate, there's a million ways to get this thing done, and to show the perseverance that you've shown and the man that you are. I mean, that's great example for your kids.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just can't give up.
No, can't give up.
No, keep going, man. We love to root for you. How can people follow you, or how can people reach out to you, let you know that they're? I don't want you to give out your personal cell, but how can we keep track of you?
I have Instagram. I'm not a big social media guy. People get on to me all the time for it, but I have a social media Instagram at Right Rough, because that's where I tend to miss it. And I probably put more cooking on there than I do golf related stuff, but that's what I like to do. So
I like it.
Good for you,
Danny. Mine would have said way left. Yeah.
Mine would have said
look out left. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Good luck. Thanks coming up.
That's
Thanks.
Chris Naegel, and this is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green designed to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
I want to welcome Redbird Heating and Cooling to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You can reach them at 314-320-9507 or on the website redbirdhvac.com. CEOs Jed Dickinson and Jerry Pearson run the area's most responsive and dedicated heating and cooling company that's been conscientiously supporting the St. Louis area for the last decade. Just last month, when my air conditioner stopped working, Jed and his team were at my home at 7 a.m. to replace one unit and then repair the other. Your money, like it's our money, was Jed's statement to me, and the repairs for Unit 2 was less than $200. If you want to work with a family-owned business that you can trust, then call 314-320-9507 or visit them at redbirdhvac.com. That's redbirdhvac.com.
Hi, this is Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Back in the CarShield studios, presented by Darty Business Solutions. This is Golf with Jay Delsing as we head down the stretch. That's Jay. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and man, that was fun to visit with Chris Naegel. What a great story.
What a good guy.
Yeah.
He's so chill, Denny, and man, is he ripped. He has really spent some time in the gym, and have you had a chance to ever play with Naegel?
I have not. I've seen him play, and I don't remember his body being as in good a shape that it's in right now. He's got himself in really good shape.
He was showing me some stats on his cell. His average carry for his driver is 316.
316.
That's
average.
Carry.
So
that's
then,
not total.
So when it leaks on out, you're talking 345, maybe 340. That range.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
Yep. Oh, when he hits it, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, you said in the interview you worked with him, and he mentioned it. You guys have worked together on putting.
Absolutely, in short game, and he's just got great hands. And there was a time where he really struggled with his putter, but that is not the case anymore. And he finished
tied for seventh. Tied for seventh on putting accuracy or putting period on the Korn Ferry Tour. So tied for seventh.
Yeah,
not bad.
No,
that's gonna get you into the big events.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. That'll take care of a lot of problems. We used to say, Danny, that you got to learn how to hit all 14 clubs in your bag. Unless you're a really good putter, that takes care of about 10.
And he mentioned teachers locally. Brian Vogt, you had guys that he went to, Bobby Pavlonis, obviously yourself.
Yep.
So there's some pretty good teaching going on here in St. Louis.
A lot of guys loving the game. Bobby Pavlonis, Brian Vogt, just really good guys. And they're the Warriors, D. They're in the trenches. They're eating hooks and slices every day and helping people play better, and you got to love that.
We played Meadowbrook, and that's where Chris primarily is playing right now here locally, but we played it, and that place is tough. That is tough, and he's putting up low scores at Meadowbrook.
Like he's falling off a log. Those greens, we said we had a great day over there with Paulie Worth and Jamie Britt. Had a great time. We sat down afterwards and figured that the over and under for number of 3 putts per member, the average member, was 5.
I took the over, by the way, because I was not a member, but I was putting over 5. It was crazy.
How about some of those?
The course was in great shape. It was hard.
Yep, tee to green too. It's beast.
Yeah,
and I got to tell you, this brings to mind your son Luke McLaughlin when he tried to qualify, nearly qualified for the U.S. Amateur over there, and I got the loop for him, and he put on an exhibition on that back nine, made 4 birdies, had a couple others lip out, and wound up missing by a couple, but he was right there in the mix, and it was so interesting to watch him gain a little confidence, make this birdie, all of a sudden another putt flops in there, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, man, let's go. And he had his foot on the gas. It was really fun.
That's fun. Let's get to some emails before we wrap up the show.
Love it.
Jay at jdelsinggolf.com. By the way, thanks for being his caddy. It's one of my favorite pictures. I see my son hitting, and there's a 30-year PGA Tour pro with a bib on behind
We got to
him.
talk about that bib. The guy goes to me, are you caddying? And he didn't know who I was, which is fine. And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, well, here's your bib. And I said, I'd rather not. He goes, put the bib on. I go, okay, yes, sir. So I put the bib on. And actually, I was glad I did. Dude, I had waters coming out of there. I had little snacks.
Thank you.
I had Advil, not for Luke. All that was just for me. Little lunch.
I had people text me all over the place, and they're like, hey, man, your son's out here. Looks like he's doing well. Thanks a lot. Hey, by the way, is that Jay Delsing caddy for him?
We had so much fun.
Hilarious.
And I got to tell you, he can play.
He can play.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll get him to continue to play. We'll see.
Love that. I love that idea.
So this is from Mike in South St. Louis. Heard you guys talking about TrackMan. I'm new to golf. What is a TrackMan?
Yeah.
So what is it?
So TrackMan is...
And it's changed the game.
It absolutely has changed. It is. They're using it, first of all, Mike, thanks for the email. Gosh, Danny, we are getting some emails.
All over the place.
Anyway, TrackMan, it basically is how and where the analytics come from. It is a device that is set up right behind your ball, and it measures club head speed, it measures attack angle, it measures dispersion, meaning how far offline your ball goes, how your ball spins, how the ball's launched off the driver, any sort of data that can be acquired through the golf swing. It'll tell you the amount of percentage of degrees that you're in to out, or you're out in, or maybe you're right on. And so it'll give you way more numbers, Mike, than your head will spin, because you really won't know what to do with those numbers. And so if you do ever happen to get on a TrackMan, and I know you're new to golf, so I don't really think that's necessary, but it's fascinating. You need to have somebody there, though, to help you break down the information. Otherwise, it's a waste. And it's almost a disaster, Danny, of too much info.
Well, Mike had a second part to this question. I think it applies to a lot of people that are listening right now. They're saying, can I get one? How expensive are they? Well, they're
$25,000 a piece.
Yeah, you're going to pay a pretty hefty price.
Yep. They're and Danny, this is standard operating procedure for the PGA Tour players.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I forget. I was up in Toronto a couple of years ago doing an outing for my friend, and was staying when the Canadian Open was in town, and they're playing at Glen Abbey. So I was right there in Oakville. And I bet I saw 15 to 18 guys checking into their hotel room, and their clubs were not with them. Their luggage was with them, and
the TrackMan.
Was
it's
right there.
It's not very big, though.
No, it's a laptop, basically.
Exactly.
It's a little laptop, but it's an expensive one.
Well, I can see guys when they're just warming up. Matter of fact, I was watching, I can't remember who it was, at the Ascension Charity Classic, but he was getting his results on his phone.
Was it Pernice?
It was.
Pernice. I saw him out with his TrackMan too, and he was hitting his little wedges. And so what he's doing, Danny, was trying to verify his spin rates on his wedges, so that you're going to absolutely get these numbers to where you want them, and you know exactly what the ball's going to do when it lands and how far it's going to go, and that's everything.
Boy, it's fascinating too.
It really is.
Guy comes off the course, he goes over to the range, sets up the TrackMan, you're off and running. As long as you said, you understand the data that's coming through to you.
Now, Danny, we've got a local company, Rapsodo, and Art Shue and his team over there. They do a great job. They have these pocket devices that are not quite as detailed as a TrackMan, but these Rapsodo devices are super cool. They're a fraction of the cost, and they're also using those in baseball, all for the same thing: spin rates, launch angles, all of the dispersion, attack angles, all that stuff. They're using them in MLB for pitchers and for batters, and it's crazy.
This is from Mary, and she said, guys, love the visit with Chris Naegel. He's one of my favorite players to watch here locally. Heard you talk about putting drills. What are the other drills that you guys do daily to prepare for an event, or just to prepare weekly?
Well, one of the things, Mary, and thanks for the email, one of the things, Danny, we talk about this all the time, is you've got to work on your putts from distance. You have got to figure out speed. You have, so one of the drills that we'll use, Mary, is that you'll get let's grab your 3 balls and get, let's say 30 feet from the hole. And do your normal thing right before you get ready to hit the ball. There's 2 things you can do. Either pick your head up and look at the hole and stroke, and keep your head there and wait for the feedback that you get from contact. Because as soon as you remove your eyes, it's like flying blind. All you have is that ball and contact, and you're going to go, oh, I hit that on the heel, or oh, that didn't. You might not even be able to identify where you hit it. It just didn't feel good. And so what that does is it reverberates back into your brain, and it really helps with your feel. And then you're going to go
muscle memory.
It is. And what you do, Danny, is you go, oh, that didn't feel good. And you look up and that ball's 15 feet, you hit it halfway there. Now, the other thing that you can do is close your eyes. And that is really, really scary, but I'd give it a try because it does the same thing. First of all, you go through a minor freak out, like, am I even going to hit the ball?
Sure.
And some people, I've seen them hit it a little fat and stuff.
With a putter.
Yeah, take a little divot on it. Yeah, got a little bit behind that. But what it does is there's nothing but feel left because you have no eyes on anything. And so you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And so it really will help bring out your feel. Those are 2 great ones.
Tim in South St. Louis said, guys, loved your conversation in hour number 1 on what was happening with the Ryder Cup. What will the President's Cup look like as we see that coming as compared to the Ryder Cup and the differences between the 2?
Yeah, great question, Tim. And the Ryder Cup versus the President's Cup, they're held every other year. So next year, the President's Cup will be held, and that is the United States versus the rest of the world that's not in the Ryder Cup. So you're going to get your Australias taken care of, your folks from New Zealand, anybody from South America, anybody from Africa, anybody from Korea or South Korea, any Canada.
Any place outside of Europe.
Yeah, right. So the Ryder Cup is the U.S. versus Europe, and the President's Cup is the U.S. versus everybody else for inclusion, which is a real hot word in our society today, but that's what it is.
And he wanted to know about the setup and the matches and how they're played. So is
same way.
Yep, it's identical.
It's identical. And guys, the President's Cup was founded in honor of George.
Not W, it was H.
George H. Bush.
That's right.
And the Bush family is related to the Walkers, who started the Walker Cup, which is one of the oldest matches in the history of golf, and that's amateur golf. So that's the amateur U.S. versus the amateur Great Britain and Ireland. Great tradition. The Bush family in sports, and even St. Louis has lots and lots of connections.
Well, we got a connection coming up. That's Belle Reve in 2030.
I know.
It'll be fascinating to see what first of all, those that run the President's Cup, they'll be coming in year after year, and, monthly to check out the course.
Yep.
Will they do anything differently in the setup? How much different it may be to what we see now? Now, the greens have changed even from the PGA.
Yes.
Because they had to blow them up and then redo them.
Yep.
And so some of that is a little bit different, but will they come in and change Belle Reve just a little bit here or there? In 2030, while it seems like it's a while off, it really isn't in golf terms. It's right around the corner.
It'll be here before. Well, listen. Next, I mean, it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
I mean, so,
You think they change anything with it?
There's only so much they can do with Belle Reve because Belle Reve is pretty much maxed out in terms of distance. Now, you're going to say, and I'm going to say, the golf course doesn't need to be any longer. But Danny, we both know what's happening. This is we're at the end of 2023. In 7 years, someone's going to be hitting the ball 400 yards.
That's why
long.
I'm asking.
I know.
Yeah, and like you talked about with the Ryder Cup, setting up par fours as if it was a par 3 for the Europeans by moving up the tees.
Right.
It's just part of the gamesmanship. I'm trying to think of different holes at Belle Reve that they could make that a little bit different and challenging.
Number 11.
That's the one that comes to mind.
Number
for
11.
Me.
Yeah, and that is a dicey tee shot, man. If you even push that a little bit to the right, it's going to find the water. But what Jones has done well is he gave you some room to the left. If you hit it on the right areas, it'll actually feed towards the green. And so there's a lot that can happen on that 11th at Belle Reve.
Place is going to be nuts, isn't it?
Nuts.
You had the BMW coming, too.
I know. Don't forget about that because you and I will be, God willing, we'll still be alive, touch wood. And We'll be all over that place. It'll be a blast.
Hey, this has been a blast of a show. A lot of fun breaking down the Ryder Cup. Our thanks to Chris Naegel for being in studio. Also, a really good interview you conducted with Vance Crowe. But fun show, my man.
Thanks, Danny. I'm still not over this Ryder Cup, though.
We
might have to talk more about. Or you just turn the machine off. You'll just have to counsel me a little more.
You turned into Bitter Bob on me.
I'm sad, Bob. I can tell you that for sure.
Bob.
Pissed, Bob, too. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not happy.
Not happy
one bit.
Nope. I'm mad.
We'll move on, though.
Yeah, we'll forget it.
It's all right. How do we end the show, Jay Bird?
I'm mad. No, hit him straight, St. Louis. Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
I'd like to welcome I Promise to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. What is I Promise, you ask? It's a St. Louis-based company with the most clinically backed eye health performance supplement brand with over 20 years of eye health expertise and nutrition science. It's all natural, and their cutting-edge science and technology has helped I Promise forge many exciting new golf partnerships, like with the PGA of America, the Titleist Performance Institute, the Ledbetter Academy, and many more. Perhaps the most exciting component for me is that all of this new improvement is measurable. I can tell you that in my case, my initial score was around .25, and after taking the I Promise product for 2+ months, my score soared to almost .60. It had more than doubled. I can now read the greens better because I'm not really dealing with as much glare and trying to manage that, and I squint much less when I'm playing golf. And you don't have to take it from me. Check out what Padraig Harrington has to say about this product. He is playing some of the best golf of his career in his early 50s, and he swears I Promise has helped improve his short game. Check out I Promise. That's I Promise, the company helping us to see better, play better, and live better. Visit them at ipromise.com. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat